Bum, 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 bum. Hello, everyone in the wild, wild world of sports. How's it going? It's time for the Super Sully Sunday stream, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, coming at you live from our Boston studios, which is down the street from the corner. Boston, Massachusetts, North America, planet Earth, which is the third stone from the sun. Here in the Solar System, outer spiral arm, Milky Way galaxy, local group, Virgo cluster, Laniakea supercluster, known universe, somewhere within the grand, yet to be unrealized and unplumbed possibilities of the multiverse, of all possibilities, and the probability amplitude, in any way, or any jargon you want to throw in there, smarty pants. Welcome. It's time once again for the Super Sully Sunday stream. I am here with my executive producer, Pikachu O'Sullivan. Just don't get it around. I don't get us sued. You know, he writes the show notes, the copious amount of show notes that I read. He runs the show. I am just the talent. I read what he writes, and I'm a happier talent for it. You know, it's just, you know, I get, you know, first dibs at the craft table, at the craft, you know, services. It's like, you know, that's really fun too. How y'all doing? Good to see you there. The chat is jumping already. Lane Kramer was here early, busting out mind nuggets. Let's see. Let's catch up, Lane Kramer. I have to say the whole issue with shipping right now is starting to get to me. Yeah, I don't care if Anakin and Ahsoka hooked up. I don't think it's proper that they did or even should. But no, we've got nothing but women and sissies freaking clouding up the fandom spheres. Oh, that's not the shipping you meant. Thanks to Diamond, they keep not delivering stuff or missing my local comic book store boxes. This week, it was Moon Knight. My comic shop did not get Fist of Khonshu number 4. I was lucky I managed to catch another LCS that had one issue left in stock and was able to pick it up. All I ask for is stuff to be out on time. I hope I nailed that with like proper, like, you know, dramatic, you know, interpretations. Yeah, you know, I made the soul of Brian Blessed move me here so that I can go and pick it up on the set day comic release, or at least during the following weekend. If nothing else, can we comic fans who try to keep the weekly grind get consistent? I really want to be like Menelaus and Troy, the Iliad movie, going, burn, let it burn, let it all diamond burn. Indeed. Good to see you, Lane Kramer. Good to see you, Dwayne Muth. Good to see you, James. Hi. Hey, afternoon from the Sully Saloon. Discussion of chicken sandwiches, soups, alcoholic beverages, and the crafted comic medium. I was spent all weekend sober. I'll tell you that much. Hey, salam. How's it going, Mo? From the other side of the planet Earth, coming to you from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Mo. And yay, thank you, Martin, for dropping by. How are you doing? The road to WrestleMania has begun. That's good. I mean, you can keep me posted about that. I really haven't been current on wrestling since Hollywood, since Hogan went Hollywood. That's a long time ago. Seriously, but I keep my eye on it, especially on the female wrestlers, like Liv Morgan. She's ridiculously cute, but Rhea Ripley, hubba, wow. Talk about strong women, you know, seriously. And it's good to see, you know what? I don't do much of that on this channel, man. I have something called Apolitically Incorrect that I do on Friday mornings. I've been doing that for the election cycle because I used to have a political acumen. I used to give a shit. I used to watch Meet the Press every Sunday, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern. You know, back in the Tim Russert days, let's put it that way. I used to religiously listen to NPR, like On Point, All Things Considered, Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers. You know, I don't even own a car, and I would listen to them. Wait, don't tell me, the NPR news quiz, because I would rack up points on that thing because, like, I listened to NPR all week. And then I took, like, years and years off of NPR and then reading the op-eds, and you come back to it after a huge break so you can see the shift, the big shift, and it's like, wow, the fact that there's no room for conservative voices at NPR or PBS is alarming. The same thing that there's no room for conservative voices in the publishing industry. That is alarming. Listen, I'm in the middle. I have conservative values. I have classic liberal values. I'm not into progressivisms. I am into humans. I am into people, you know? And yeah, Rhea is Aussie. Yeah, she is from Australia. Demi Bennett, that's her name. And, you know, hey, what's up? Jailbird King finally caught a live stream. Great. Yeah. What? Phil the Kill. Welcome. Good to see you, Phil. I hope you stopped your NPR trash listening pre-2008 because they got real anti-white and gay after that. Pretty much. I mean, I don't care. You know, fucking, like Howard Cosell or Walter Cronkite, you know, they could be sleeping with anyone they want, but their news delivery and non-regional diction was a huge thing. Every time I hear a dissented S on an NPR, like on like a newsreader, a dissented S is the stereotypical gay lisp, the sissy lisp. You know, so when you hear someone on NPR talking like AOC, I just lose my mind goes as elsewhere as very quickly as, you know, and just when I hear it, like these dissented S's on like fandom advertisements here on YouTube's, oh Jesus Christ, I just like, I tune out and I'm like, well, this is probably not for me. It's too progressive. See, yeah, I had a gay uncle, so I grew up listening to, oh, Sonia, like the whole fucking. he was wicked gay, Uncle Freddie. This was in the late 70s. I mean, he was fucking outrageous too, out of the closet. And you know what? This is like he got stomped for being gay. They laid him out on the street on the curb, and they stomped on his knees, and they crippled him. And my Uncle Freddie used a walker for the remaining years of his life. It was either HIV or it was a drug overdose. We were kids. And, but yeah, I mean, there's room for gay people in the world. There really is. You know what I mean? See, you know, but let's see. Lane Kramer says, anyway, Green Lantern is doing great right now. Exactly. I will say I am interested to see what One World Under Doom will do. I wonder how much third person speak we will get during the whole 9 issues. I like it when Doom uses himself in the third person. That's a big thing for me as Doom. And we got sorry for that, even if you're anti-gay. Exactly. I mean, that's a human being, and he got stomped for being a homo. I'm sorry, I might have gotten demonetized. I finally got like I had to reactivate my monetization. I don't know. I'm just like, it's kind of weird. I'm like, I don't do super chats. I don't do memberships. I don't want to be that kind of like, I don't want to be that vested in this. I'm a YouTuber. Yes. I'm a small YouTuber. Yes. I'm a grateful YouTuber. Totally. A little sugar for my tea. And my grandma's teapot. It's true. Yeah. Let's see. Well, let's get to the show. We got to read those show notes. We had a productive weekend, you know. I just moved in. Just finished moving in to my mom's condo. My mom passed away last July. I inherited her condo, so I'm like, holy shit, Montfrere, the Ginger Ninja. James Harris says, I live and breathe. What is up? My ginger brother from another mother. It is a sexy spinner rack I got behind me. That's right. Sometimes we take a look to see what we got on this thing. Look at this thing. This is foil. That's an Andy Kubert cover. That came with my G.I. Joe box set. here we go. That's a 3D issue up there. Yeah. Pump. Here we go. Let's put it, and we're gonna put this duck head on Iron Man stealth armor. How's it all going out there? All right, let's get to it. We what? Let's get to comic books. I've reviewed how many fucking Marvel books did I read this week? Most of them were terrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Marvel books I read this week. At least one DC book. And a couple of independents, like Mark Miller's Nightclub 2 #5 came out. That was pretty hot. We'll get to, we're gonna get to this. What's in the bag? That's right. I go to my local comic book shop. I will go to my local comic book shop every Wednesday. New Comic Book Day. I went twice this week. Going back to what Lane Kramer said about Diamond and distributing, my comic book shop let us know last Sunday that Wednesday is not going to have New Marvel, Dark Horse, or IDW because of the Diamond kerfuffle. So I went to my local comic book shop on Wednesday, and yeah, that was still the case. So the only thing in my pull list was one DC book, and so I decided actually to do a little shopping too. So I looked around and I bought a brand new trade paperback of something, and I bought a used book too. And we'll get to that at the end, near the end of the show. But yeah, I went back on Friday after work. We got an email saying the books are in. The books are in. They are. And so I went back. It was on the way home anyway. I had to, stop off at the bank, and I'm like, I got 15 minutes until the bus gets here, and let's go to there's a bus stop right in front of my comic book shop, and it lets me off right at the corner of my street, a block away. I also brought cookies. Chips Ahoy, chocolate cookies with the fudge center. I can't eat too many because I still got supper. But this qualifies as afternoon tea. Mm-hmm. Hey, watch out, Lane. That's bad nicknames stick. Sully's in itself as a nickname. And when sometimes certain people call me Eric, I'm like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. It is. It's very convenient. I've been blessed and grateful because in the Boston area, there are several local comic book shops. Let's see. There's Million Year Picnic in Harvard Square, New England's oldest comic book shop, local comic book shop, been there 51 years. There's Newbury Comics, which is kind of like, it's not really a comic book shop anymore. That is the quintessential, pop culture shop. Newbury Comics used to sell back issues like way back in the day and have back bins and shit. And it used to be a comic book shop that sold albums and t-shirts and like marijuana paraphernalia and shit. But over the years, it's like they have a new release shelf, but now it's more of pop, Funko Pops, Legos, the licensed kitsch keys and kotchkis of what's going on. Lots of t-shirts, vinyl. They used to sell CDs too. But yeah, Newbury Comics, it was a local chain. There are plenty of them around. But you can only get a new issue there, and it's like a magazine rack. It's not even a comic book shop anymore. There's Kamikaze in Davis Square, Somerville, which I broke up with because the female staff there turned on me. I didn't even pull a Neil Gaiman. These fucking progressive chicks are something else. Wicked moody. Fucking stop trying to make fetch happen, Regina George. You freaking, I would have kept my sub, my pull list at my old comic book shop, and it would have been worth it because I was like years of walking in there on a Wednesday and going, Happy New Comic Book Day. I don't know what happened. I know. I have a feeling what happened. The girl that was watching this show probably freaking said something to them because I do say awful shit sometimes. I can get misogynist. I'm an overall nice guy. I just have many sides. I have 20 sides, like a dungeon master dice. You know what I mean? So it's like I must have rolled the one when it came to them, because they had this like really they just felt, when someone doesn't like you anymore, and it's just more of like, geez, I don't want to come in here and spend my money and be, you know what I mean? They weren't treating me awful. They just were treating me noticeably different, non-conversational, non-engaging. It was just settling. So I was like, fuck this. I threw away the hat. I was like, you know what I mean? And I'm blessed and grateful to have a local comic book shop in my village, in my city square, in Quincy Center. It's New England Comics. There are only 3 of them left. There were like 7 or 8 of them a long time ago. They were the big local chain after Newbury Comics. And so they've contracted to 3 stores. They've sold 2 of them. So 2 of their locations are still open, like Malden and forget the other one. But they were, they were maybe like their new owners have always worked there, I think. So we're down to 3 New England Comics. Chat is blowing up. Sorry about that. Oh boy. Yeah, so that Phil the Kill. Yeah, I have an awesome comic book store, and it's an old comic book store of mine too. My first comic book shop was called Superhero Universe 3. It was on the corner of Winter and Washington Streets at Downtown Crossing, downtown Boston. Snortopupus Tube! Oh, wow! Good to see you, old friend. Well, that's our friend. He's a polar bear, so don't make any sudden movements and don't hold any raw fish or salmon around him. I mean, he's a bear, so, it's nature, not nurture. Okay? You've been warned, but he's also a great bear. Good to see you, Snorty. Let's see. But yeah, so this one, New England Comics Quincy, it was my second real local comic book shop. My grandparents moved here to Quincy when I was in middle school. So I would take the T down here on weekends, the MBTA, the subway. It's right there. You'll probably hear it a few dozen times in the background. And I would, stay there on weekends sometimes, and on the way in or on a Saturday, I'd just go down to my local comic book shop. And yeah. And I remember that it moved down the street to its current location. And, it's been open for 40 years. Neil Gaiman destroyed his own legacy. I disagree with you, Mo. I think a couple of broads did it for him. He didn't he would have, he would have loved to have kept on going. I don't think he had help with that. So we're going to have to talk about Neil Gaiman dumped again. That's right. What happened? Well, the Sandman is going to end with season 2. That's right. The Sand. Mr. Sandman, send me a dream. Boom, 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 boom. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Oh, fuck. Seriously, I just hear Distemted S and I'm just like, okay. I mean, like, I barely like hearing women's voices either. Like seeing all these women that are like sports commentators, I'm like, oh my fucking God. Sports used to be a place where you can escape the fucking nagging voice of a woman. And I love women. And any women out there that are tuning in, I love you too. Especially, AL, JK, you know what I mean? I am not a misogynist. I should be. I've been hammered flat by chicks dude, yeah, but I'm not. I'm really not. I care about people. I really do. But Sandman ending with season 2 at Netflix amid Neil Gaiman controversy. This was written yesterday. It was updated yesterday in the afternoon. This is from Forbes, a reputable source of infotainment. You know what they say, the higher you climb, the harder you'll fall. That's certainly been the case for fantasy author Neil Gaiman, once among the most beloved contemporary authors of genre fiction. Gaiman is now embroiled in controversy, with multiple women accusing the writer of sexual assault, the details of which I will leave out of this post. So already using the first person It's a senior contributor, so this is got to be some. It's in gaming, so it goes. So we can see up here Forbes innovation. This is in the gaming category. So this is Eric Kane, senior contributor. He writes about TV shows, movies, video games, entertainment, and culture. It was originally posted on January 31st, and it was updated a day later, yesterday. That it's good to like. I also a lot of the times now I'll do this. I highlight it, I right click it, and I open up Eric Kane in another window, and I'll look at his LinkedIn. Seriously, it's like this link. Yeah, Eric Kane, Forbes. I can tell you kind of about him. Let's see. He graduated from Northern. What are you doing? Oh boy! Every time I sign into this thing, it sends me fucking junk mail too. He's a Shorty Award nominated freelance writer, critic, and journalist covering video games, politics, culture, art, entertainment. Here, this chap is dead. His work has appeared in Atlantic, Mother Jones, the National Review, and elsewhere. I'm a gun for hire. Looking for freelancers. 14 years and 1 month. He's been writing at Forbes, senior contributor since he's been working there since 2011. And let's see, he went to Northern Arizona University. He's got his BA in English and creative writing. Yeah, so this is what I do now when it comes to sorry, I'm not ignoring the chat. I have to go to another window. I don't have two windows. I don't have two monitors anymore. That sucks. I'm so getting used to just one monitor, Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are men's spaces, women's spaces, then there were mixed spaces. I mean, just coaching, refereeing. I mean, I don't know. I think of the last episode of Succession, and how a pregnant woman got to fucking dictate the fucking fate of the family company and not, keeping it within the family because pregnant women are, in charge of their fucking emotions and exactly. They're a raging festooning typhoon of coursing hormones and creative and the creativity of the cosmos. All right, with I will leave out of this post. So when I said that I will leave out of this post, when you come into it the first person, you're breaking the fourth wall. This is not journalism. This is an opinion piece. This is editorial, and this is opinion. Yeah, I mean, so this again a filter to put it through. So this is what I do now. I have a series of authenticity checks that. Because I've been so subjugated with our own YouTube culture and also jumping to a conclusion and getting there's just being part of an outrage culture. It's tempered how I perceive things and how I get mad and what I get mad over. Because I still get mad at shit. Who doesn't? I mean, I'm a human being, Hey, Lord Thoth, how you doing? Good to see ya. LT, the Canadian Green Lantern. But you can read all about in this Vulture expose, or since that's behind a paywall in this piece at Variety. Fair warning, these are deeply unpleasant stories. Yeah, they really are, and it's just they're TMI on purpose. I mean, talk about this. That would be like if your ex-girlfriend publicly shared your browser history and you thought all this time, hey, I was incognito mode. No, I mean, she just published everything off your IP address and you know what I mean? And that is just imagine that. Just imagine if an ex did that to you. I mean, took away your dignity and your privacy because, kinks are very private things, unless you're living publicly, blah blah woof woof. But I'm digressing. Back to action, as they say. Various Gaiman projects have since been axed. Gaiman departed Amazon Prime's upcoming final season of Good Omens, which I heard, also that it's going to be wrapped up into a 90-minute movie, and that's Also, Good Omens has something else going on too. They have a Kickstarter omnibus, and the Terry Pratchett estate demanded that Gaiman withdraw his name from the project. He's a co-writer on this, and he's not. And we'll get to that article too. We got that one. We're talking about Gaiman. No, not my late Uncle Freddie. We're talking about Neil Gaiman, or is it Gaiman? Should we call him Gaiman, not to confuse him with the gay men that we love? Geez, what's wrong? They're our brothers. They're our cousins, our uncles, our friends, our co-hosts on panel shows. I'm a chef. Do you know how many gay waiters I know? What's more stereotypical than a gay waiter? Development on a film based on The Graveyard Book has halted at Disney, which is also ABC, and Marvel Comics. Gaiman didn't do a lot with Marvel Comics. Gaiman's big thing on Marvel Comics was, I think it was 1401, 1402. Like this, I enjoyed that. Heck, that had a twist at the end I didn't see coming. And Gaiman was also dropped by his longtime comic book publisher, Dark Horse. But his Dark Horse catalog isn't as valuable or prolific as, say, his Warner Brothers Discovery-owned DC catalog, which makes mint over mint. 1602, thank you. Dwayne Muth is a Google with shoes, I swear. A Canadian Green Lantern and a Saudi Batman. We are the International Justice League. Huzzah! I will drink that. I will drink tea to that. And have a bit of cookie and enjoy the sugar rush. Now, via Variety, Netflix is ending the popular show The Sandman with season 2. The series is based on the wildly popular graphic novels Gaiman produced, though it appears it will race to the finish line at this point, jumping much further ahead in the story than fans had hoped. While it's reported that season 2 was always intended to be the end of The Sandman at Netflix, the recent allegations and controversy, I like to say that like a Brit, controversy, certainly has helped ensure the show's fate. The Sandman series has always been focused exclusively on Dream's story, and back in 2022, when we looked at the remaining Dream material from the comics, we knew we only had enough story for one more season. Bullshit. Sorry, I had a cough. Showrunner Alan Heinberg said in a statement to Variety Friday, "We are extremely grateful to Netflix for bringing the team all back together and giving us the time and resources to make a faithful adaptation in a way that we hope will surprise and delight the comics' loyal readers as well as fans of our show." Gaiman was an outspoken supporter of the Me Too movement. Here's that. Yeah, wow. I shouldn't have coughed like that. That would gave me a headache. Yeah, exactly. It's you didn't deny it either, but it's like, I don't know. Exactly. Oh boy. Well, that's good to know. Let's see. Terry Pratchett estate. Isn't this interesting? This is from Bleeding Cool. Rich Johnson. The Good Omens Kickstarter was set up to fund the creation of a graphic novel adaptation by Colleen Doran of the Good Omens novel by Sir Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. A remarkably successful crowdfunding scheme. It raised £2,419,973 from 36,867 backers. The Pratchett estate, which runs the Good Omens Kickstarter, has offered refunds to donors after the original Tortoise media allegations last November. However, the estate now says it will no longer maintain this freeze In light of new articles and allocations, while we cannot speak further on the subject at present, we have chosen to reopen a short refund window for those who will no longer like to support the graphic novel up until Friday, 7th November 2025. They also state it has been agreed that Neil Gaiman will not receive any proceeds from the graphic novel Kickstarter. Given the project management, production, and communication has always been under the jurisdiction of the estate on the behalf of Good Omens at large, this will not fundamentally change the project itself. However, we can confirm the Kickstarter and pledge manager will now fully be an entity run by and financially connected to the Terry Pratchett estate only. And so, yeah. Since last summer, Tortoise Media, New York Magazine, and Vulture have reported details of allegations of abuse by a number of women against Neil Gaiman. Gaiman has denied anything non-consensual. Other canceled projects include the comic book adaptation of Anansi Boys, screen adaptations of The Sandman following season 2's release later this year, Dead Boy Detectives, which is a spin-off of Sandman, The Graveyard Book, the stage adaptation of Coraline, and there is to be a truncated version of Good Omens season 3 without Gaiman's involvement. Because now we have this Coraline. Coraline is a book that was written by Neil Gaiman. I never read it. Coraline. Not the film, the book. It's a novel. It's a novella by Neil Gaiman. It's 2002 British dark fantasy horror children's novella by Neil Gaiman. It won a Hugo Award, the Nebula Award, the Bram Stoker Award. The Guardian ranked Coraline number 82 in its list of 100 best books of the 21st century. And it's about Coraline. Yeah, I don't care to look at it. Sorry, but and I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up with the chat. Perch always has a voice of reason. Yeah, I like Perch. I've been honored to be on a couple of shows with Perch. Oh yeah. I've been on with Perch twice or three times at Wes's. Maybe minimum two. I think three is pushing it. I think I would have remembered maybe 3 times. I've been on with Mike Barron twice. Carrie Andrews, Eric Kennedy, Viken. Was I on with Viken Marion? Oh, not sure. But it's just such what an interesting, with our T-Bear, interesting cross section of people that we meet on these shows. Coraline musical axed following Neil Gaiman's sexual assault allegations. This is the one that I actually am scratching my head over the mostest. Think about it. Coraline's been adapted into a musical. That means its rights come from are sold and bought at a certain level. So you've bought a licensed copy of this musical that you get to put on off Broadway. In a what's that? Oh boy. Oh, here we go. Speaking of browser histories, good thing like that didn't. Oh boy. Don't worry, I'll show you my Match.com page. Another Neil Gaiman associated project has been axed. A United Kingdom production of Coraline, a musical, has been canceled following sexual assault allegations against its author, co-producers Leeds Playhouse, Royal Lyceum Theatre, Edinburgh, and others announced in a statement on Wednesday. So it looks like there's a tour of Coraline the musical going on. After consideration, we feel it would be impossible to continue in the context of the allegations against its original author, the theater companies wrote. Ticket holders have been contacted directly via email. The announcement comes after 4 new allegations against Gaiman surfaced earlier this month, among a nearly dozen accusations from women who say the award-winning novelist sexually assaulted them. Okay. That's it. We've boiled it down. It's, SA. I mean, I don't know if that's going to, we'll find out. This is the first live stream that I've monetized in months. So I will tell you later on, did this get the bounce with the language that we're using, just reading these news articles. Vulture published a report on January 13th outlining the new allegations against Gaiman, as well as allegations first revealed last year. Gaiman 64 is the famed English fantasy writer behind The Sandman, Good Omens, American Gods, and Coraline, all which have been turned into film, television, and musical adaptations, among others. And that's just going into his stuff about last week, Dark Horse and Graveyard Book. It was reported that Amazon Prime would end it with a 90-minute TV movie episode as opposed to a full 3rd season, which Amazon MGM Studios later confirmed to USA Today. Netflix has yet to comment on the future of its CD adaptation, which would be preparing for its 3rd season. But yeah, we already know about that. And so, but what about? Well, okay, that's good. So, hey, Fear Monarch, how you doing? Good to see you. But what about the cast? What about the crew? What about the concession people? What about the people? These are people's shifts, people's gigs. How many people how many people lost work? That's not Neil Gaiman's fault. I mean, and these are license rights that go, he has already got a cut of. It's not like he's going to get an active cut of the box office. Maybe not. I don't know the ins and outs of contract law or this individual's specific agreement for making Coraline the musical tour. And I mean, just wow. I'm just like, what about the talent? What about the crew? The blue-collar jobs, the artists, the set designers, the costumers, shit like that, man. It's just like, I'm thinking of Mark Bernardin and the artist from and Asanzi Boys. Is that a Sandy Boy? No. A Nancy Boys. And which was an adaptation of a pre-existing novel. So if you want to know how that novel turns out, the book turns out, go get the novel, I guess. But it's not going to be complete as as a comic book adaptation. There will be no trade paperback. I mean, what about the artist? What about the writer? What about the inker? What about the colorist? What about the letterer? What about the fan who may have been buying this book? I like to bust balls and say, well, all 7 people that were buying the Nancy Boys, there must be shit out of luck. But that's cruel to say and think. There must be. It's a Neil Gaiman book. It's a Neil Gaiman story. It's been adapted by Bernardin and then his artist. So once again, license stuff all down the line. Neil Gaiman's already got his cut. So what's that is performative. That is virtue signal. That is just that's kind of the worst part of it. Like all of his victims. Well, guess what? I mean, is Mark Bernardin the victim of Neil Gaiman now too? I mean, look, Neil Gaiman's got so much money. He is literally batting his eye at the Good Omens Kickstarter. Seriously, those are just do you realize how much of a publishing juggernaut Sandman has been for Warner Brothers in the past 30 years? I mean, seriously, fucking Sandman is like Watchmen. It's always been in print, and there's always an audience for it. Seriously. And it's just, I'm just besides myself with, like, the blue collars here, the working class hero bullshit. You know what I mean? God bless you, John Lennon. A working class hero is something to be. When they tortured you and teased you for 40 odd years, and they expect you to pick a career. It's so hard living life when you're so full of fear. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Yes, issue by issue, especially that 89 through 93 part, before the Vertigo imprint, that was all terra firma, post-Crisis in Infinite Earth 1, 0, or whatever, the post, Earth 1985, as we know it, post, and I guess that's the multiverse definition of that now, of the Copper Age Earth. And but yeah, I mean, but it's always been, and you have the Absolute editions. You have, for me personally, I'm enjoying the Audible audiobook version. I have 3 volumes of it. I'm awaiting the 4th volume of it. And it is a radio play with a full cast adapting the Floppies. It is beat by beat. It is perfect. It's like reading the comic book all over again. But it's just like, I forgot how much I love these stories. I read all of those. Man, what a good book. And yeah, and so Buttons. How's that? Yeah, Terry Pratchett takes his name, removes Neil Gaiman. Let's find another. But here we go. This is like, let's share this one instead. This is the famous Neil Gaiman tweet from September 28, 2018, and it's about Me Too in a way. And then this is peak Me Too. This is peak, like, this is like peak woke. I don't know. I don't like using that term, but academic postmodernism, that can sure fit here. But it's more of like here's the faking the funk on the dunk on the male feminist thing. Or is it possible to be a male feminist and to have, maybe is that the other side of your male feminism, is the private side of your kink, where you're the dominant and you need the submission, I mean, seriously, 50 Shades of Grey was huge, man. And that was all about that type of relationship. I'm just saying, I'm not condoning anything. I mean, like, I don't want to know what your kinks are. I don't want to see your browser history either. I mean, shit. Some things you should be able to keep to yourself, and and to have an ex just like out you like that. That's terrible. And it's not. I'm not saying it like that either. There are allegations now of SA, as the Quartering would say. You will assault, But this is the famous. This has been getting a lot of heat lately. On a day like today, it's worth saying, I believe survivors. Men must not close our eyes and minds to what happens to women in this world. We must fight alongside them. I fucking love the Oxford comma. For them to be believed at the ballot box and with art and by listening, and change this world for the better. What a run-on sentence, but it's a beautifully constructed run-on sentence. Seriously, using the Oxford comma as a fucking cudgel. He's a professional writer. Come on, there's a... I mean, yeah, exactly. I want Karen. I mean, that's like the one Mark Miller tweets out, like, who should I interview for Miller Time? And I'm always like, get Karen Berger. But it's funny because, like, how is like her Berger books over on Dark Horse taking off? Or is that an Image thing? I think it's our Dark Horse. But it's like the Karen Berger curated imprint, and it's just like, I don't hear anything about that. I never even see those in my pirate chests. And Neil's like, I'm so sorry to hear about your pain. I don't see, and so like, but it gets juicy, like down here. at PH Dog, who said on September 28th, "Ain't you the guy that wrote the story of where some guy had to his muse and to get his inspiration? This is when the muse was caught and bathing by the mortal guy, and she was bound, and then she ended up being passed to this next guy who was a writer in the modern world, and he had to, her consent wasn't even an idea, and eventually the modern writer succumbed to his whims and his and took the muse." Echoing now 7 years later, "Ain't you the guy that to get his?" And then he's in Gaiman's response. Gaiman responds to people. Heck, he responded to Michael Alonso clobbering times, a couple of years ago about something going on. I think it was maybe because of the Sandman casting. Neil, stocky voice. Again, is that the way you read it? Interesting. That's how I remember it. I had the sense that you were trying to say something about the creative process, but from other things I'd read of yours and appreciated it, even if I didn't adore them, I wasn't convinced you had the chops to swing those kind of metaphors around. You might want to reread it." You know what I mean? This guy says, "I just realized this is from 2018. Wild." And he says, this was from July 6th, 2024, when the story was beginning to break. That's the whole thing about Tortoise Media. I mean, this got broken a year ago and then 6 months ago. And this is like the third time the Neil Gaiman story has come up. But now it's got the traction it's been, it needed. More people, more women are stepping up and, stepping forward. And it must be scary, But also, I mean, then there were other things too, like retroactive consent. I mean, like, oh boy, you were into it. We were young, we were brash, we were horny. We wanted to push the boundaries of our desire. And now 30 years later, you're like, like you're saying I hurt you. That's terrible. I mean, I'm not trying to be like, fucking, I'm not trying to be sympathetic. But empathy is a fucking part of my operating system. But yeah, that's the way you're clairvoyant. And then imagine her surprise. This is who Neil turned out to be. This is wow. It took almost 7 years, but damn, if you didn't predict the fucking future with this comment. Oh shit. But ain't that's the and ladies and gentlemen, that is the famous Neil Gaiman Twitter thing on that. We have lived up to the hype, to the clickbait of our very own show. We've been talking about Neil Gaiman in our last cup of tea. Let's see what the chat's up to. Talking about fucking Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. Yeah. Fucking Alan Moore's Swamp Thing was great. Because that happened on pre-crisis and then post-crisis Earth. Or pre-crisis Earth 1 and then post-crisis Earth. And John Constantine is created by Alan Moore in the pages of Swamp Thing, and then he comes into then Marv Wolfman uses him real briefly in one panel or two panels of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then he shows back up in Swamp Thing. And that's like, that was his big thing. And you have to imagine, like, Alan Moore was visually looking at Sting, Gordon Sumner, the bassist and lead singer and songwriter of The Police, the new wave punk group of the late 70s and early 80s, who was also an actor. So, he had this attitude and this look. So if you want to imagine John Constantine right now at 70 something, you look at Sting from like his last show. I heard him. He was singing A Message in a Bottle or something. And I'm like, wow. He's like, his voice is like, he doesn't sing in that higher pitch anymore because he's an old man, but he's in tone, and he sounds like himself. And he's like a yoga devotee, and he looks so incredible. He really does. Just a castaway, island lost at sea. Oh, more loneliness any man could bear. Rescue me before I fall into despair. Oh, I'll send an SOS to the world. I'll send an SOS to the world. I hope that someone gets mine. I hope that someone gets mine. I hope that someone gets my message in a bottle. It's funny, Phil the Kill brings up History of Violence. It's one of my favorite movies. It's a David Cronenberg movie starring Viggo Mortensen, Ed Harris, William Hurt, and Maria Bello. Hubba hubba. And it all began on the printed page in an original graphic novel called The History of Violence by John Wagner and art by Vincent Locke. This was so hard to find. This I got used, and it was originally a library copy. You can tell. And it's just black and white, and it partially holds on to the story. This is one of the few examples I think the movie adaptation improved the original story. So I've seen the movie first, and it's one of my favorite movies. Love that movie. So this was hard to. I've hunted it down. I found it. It's out of print, and it's like I said. This is an old library copy that got sold to me used. I found it on the internet. Yeah, and and it's okay. I mean, it's not great, but Cronenberg really takes any fantastic elements out of this. He keeps the meat of the story. Yeah. But he just fleshes it out in a way that it really elevates and they're two separate stories in a way. They share enough. They share a title. One, the movie is adapted from this graphic novel, but then there are so many like look, they keep the like the big scene. You know what I mean? The showdown scene in the front yard. There are a lot of things they keep. Yeah, it's an old. I'll tell you. Let's look at the indicia. Here, let's look at the indicia. This is History of Violence, published by Vertigo, an imprint of DC Comics. Introduction and script copyright, 1997. All rights cut. This is a. Yeah, so this was probably made to support the movie. Oh boy, what's going on? What's going on in the real world? Let's see. What? Who is that? That's Rainbow the Brute. What? I'm hanging out with my bro Thomas Gilkey on President's Day. And he is a true blue subscriber to Ripperverse, and he's going to bring me his copy. Hopefully, if we remember, he's going to bring me his copy of Isom #1, and I'm going to read it over lunch. He wants me. He's huge into something called Orange Theory Fitness, and he's gutting a condo. He's moving to wherever he's moving to. And I'm going to, I don't want to, he wouldn't like it if I was telling you his business, but I mean, so we're going to meet up at a neutral location at an Orange Theory Fitness. And we're going to, I go to the gym. So hopefully it's going to turn me on to hey, I like this. There's an Orange Theory Fitness in Quincy Center, and it's on the way home. Maybe. Wish me luck. But we're going to hang out. And he's going to hopefully bring his Isom #1. And I'll read it. because I don't want to have any. I mean, and once I have an opinion of it, I'm only allowed a good opinion, because if I have a negative opinion, I'm going to become a detractor and an elite gatekeeper or something. There's just so many fucking wow. I don't want to go on record or on YouTube talking about Gothics. Vanessa, she's a beautiful lady. I've dug this. I dug seeing her on Friday Night Tights, but I think, I'm a chef. Okay, you have to have likability and hospitality. You are inviting people into your space, and you want to sell them your wares. And there's just something that I don't know. I was watching The Quartering with her and Melanie Mack, and it's like I don't know. The best things to say about the Rippaverse are only positives, because remember, the tractor is next to the barn. I don't know. I mean, I don't want any part of that. I'm definitely Team Jack Show, Team Ethan. You know what I mean? That's just I like artesian quality. I don't mind waiting. I'm waiting for Rainbow the Brute. So what? We all are. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be fine. What do you think? And if you don't like it, again, just ask for a refund. That's what I tell everyone. All of his detractors. You know what I mean? Who gives a fuck? I mean, just fucking. So let's get to some comic book reviews. Why don't we? I read 13. Was it 13? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 Marvel comic books this week. Let's see. Deadpool 10. It was the best Deadpool by Cody Ziegler. It was the best issue of Deadpool that he's put out in a while. Why? Because Deadpool was actually in this comic book. Waka waka! Ha 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 ha! Oh man, I mean, I have a theory though. I'll give you my theory. I've been watching the whole thing. I've been watching Ethan for years. I've been an Ethan Van Sciver fan since New X-Men 118, which I bought as a floppy. I fucking loved this guy's art. It was just so wow. It's like very like Jim Lee like, but a lot less like kind of like Asian. You know what I mean? Jim Lee always had some kind of like manga lines to it. You know what I mean? And just like that's what I felt, and it was like interesting because he's Korean. He's not Japanese, but there was just something like there was always some kind of well polished Western style of manga that I always attributed to Jim Lee. So looking at Ethan Van Sciver's work back in New X-Men, it was just. It blew me away. And there's so little of it, too. He did more covers than anything else. So, so I've been reading him since then. Then Green Lantern, and the Flash Rebirth, and then the whole, enchilada in the past few years of exactly. I stayed away from it. I don't need the drama. I don't want to be like, how many people I know like that, that side of the fence. I like that side of the fence. I still watch FNT, Friday Night Tights. You know what I mean? Jeez, I love those guys, except for Az, but that's he earned that. And he's not on FNT anymore either. So I spend more time watching FNT recently than I have in a couple of years. I mean, I hit the wall with that. I'm sorry, but he's got that personality. I can't relax. You know what I mean? I come to these spaces to chill out. But I think what happened with Eric and July and Ethan Van Sciver was the quote unquote night letter text saying that like you're either with me or against me, or like or kind of thing. It's all documented. So I think this is if Mr. July would apologize for that. I haven't heard. What? Huh? Exactly. I mean, how about something? He doesn't even have to mean it. It could be just political. Hey, Kevin, good to see you. Thank you. Welcome. Kevin Carpet. FNT can be kind of boring. I tune in. I like to say hi to everyone in the chat. You know what I mean? like get a high five from like Perry Chan and and Eric K and LT, and Keely Chow. You see this, Lady Cravemaster. You see like Dan Vasquez out there a lot. He's friendly. I loved it when Chrissy Marr came on. I miss Tom. I'm Tom Connor Jr. I liked it when he was on. I don't know. I just Ryan gets a bit too. He gets in a skit coma, and Jeremy's been very, very just really on fire lately about certain things. It's just politics spore me. I mean, I don't even like my own politics, but it just I don't know. And then some, and Ethan is clearly a YouTuber now. Shocked some don't understand it. Comics are a far second, but I'm willing to wait for him. I love his art, seriously, and I like the kayfabe in a way. I was a big Howard Stern fan. You can talk about this for a minute. Holy shit, my bro, Yule Carter, proprietor of Fantastic Comics in Berkeley, California. His deets are in the description of this very show. So if you need a back issue, you need something entertaining, you could be your own mailbox away from having a local comic book shop right to your door. Hit up Yule. Good to see you, bro. How you doing? Yule is number one. That's right. Yeah, in a way. So yeah, I wouldn't want to get, so I'm going to read, I will read item number one. I will not have a review. I'm not going to review it unless I really, really like it. And you know how I am with art. Okay. I've seen enough. I mean, this is like painting myself, I don't want to paint myself in the corner. I mean, there's no, cui bono, what, I'm in bad faith because I'm an Ethan Van Sciver fan, right? I was like, I loved Stern. I didn't listen to Opie and Anthony. They started here in Boston and at WAAF out of Worcester, 107.3 FM. Whip them out Wednesday. Let me show you tits. And they did the really bad prank about the Mayor Menino. You can look that up. But once they got fired from here, they caught on with a bigger New York station. And then they got their Sirius XM shit out of that. And then the Opie and Anthony. Yeah, they were huge. But where did that Opie and Anthony audience go? Where did that old Howard Stern audience go to? I mean, they went here to the internet, to the YouTubes, to our outrage culture. Yeah. The Fandom Menace, the High Council, fucking back in the day when people got along before the drama, some of my favorite shit is running into Yule and Ethan's live stream in the live chat. Because Yule is always pushing back against Ethan. And I fucking love it. I'm here for that. Holy shit! Konnichiwa! It's Gray. The Japanese AI. No, he's a real person. How's it going? Good to see you. But yeah, so I'm going to read item number one. I will not have a review. You know how I am about art. You know how I am about digital assisted art and about lettering. But I want to look at this publication. I want to look at the binding. I want to look at it's page. To feel the heft in my hand. I want to feel the pages. I want to see if the ink looks good on the page on the pages, or is it too glossy or something? Ohio. That's right. Ohio. Konnichiwa. Let's see. And let's get back to the reviews. What was I saying? Okay, yeah, Deadpool was good this week because it actually had Deadpool in it. Because Deadpool's been dead for a couple of issues. So it's been all about his daughter and the symbiote dog who's a who identifies as a girl, and so it's about Deadpool and daughters. Oh, you just can't help but to stand your S on that. Hellhunters #2 is good, but riddle me this, because we have Wolverine. He's not Wolverine yet. He's Logan, but look at it. We bought it. It's not much of that much of a giveaway. I mean, look who's on the cover. Behold. Is that how you doing? Are you feeling Genki? He's got some knives in his hands, but what I'm trying to figure out is has he snicked yet? Because he didn't pop his claws. But he's calling himself Logan. See, look at all this Everqueer. That's the color of purple, pink, and blue. That's Everqueer. If you ever seen me talk about Everqueer, that's Everqueer. That color is everywhere. Now, see, I don't mind having Peggy Carter in this. You got Nick Fury. You've got the Ghost Rider 1944, who was a Philip Kennedy Johnson creation that he debuted in Hulk. This is the Sorcerer Supreme of World War II. And then they meet Logan. And they're all on the run from evil. But like, what's up with having a chick in there? Well, don't you remember Ingrid Pitt? And she was in Where Eagles Dare. I fucking love Ingrid Pitt. Oh, Ingrid Pitt. But yeah, I'm like, look, Wolverine's got some knives in his hands, but I don't think they have the snick reveal of his claws. And we just look real quick because he's calling himself Logan. And I'm like, okay, he doesn't pop his claws because I'm like, wasn't he still James Howlett in World War II? That's what I'm asking. So they're calling him Logan. I mean, I thought he didn't Logan come later? Wasn't he still James Howlett? And because he hasn't popped his claws, but I was looking to see if he had bone claws, because he should have bone claws during World War II. We need more Knuckles O'Shaughnessy in Marvel books. You got that right. And their own, Moon Knight, Fist of Khonshu #4 was great. I just want to tell you, Jed McKay, solid story, but great art by Dev Promalik. I noticed him on DC's The Vigil issue #5. He did some pickup art. He did a fill-in issue, but it was just like I was like, wow, he really wowed me. And so I've kept my name. I've kept his name at the top of my list of like these young artists that on the up is Dev Promalik, and he's really good. So I mean, if page 15 itself, oh fuck it, I'll show it. I'm gonna fucking show this page. We're gonna look at some comic book art because this is what we do. We like comic books. This panel's sick. There's a lot of computer aided stuff. I love his panels. I'm gonna share this tab instead. I mean, it's Moonlight. He's in mid-fight. He suffers from DID, dissociative, multiple personalities. And so he's having this internal struggle with two of his major parts of his psyche, the cab driver and the executive. And this is a great up. Look at this is page 15. Now look at this is one page. It's not really a splash page because we got plenty of panels, but his mask is ripping, so his hair is poking through. So we see Moon Knight in action against Vermin. Vermin is, if you think back to Kraven's Last Hunt, Vermin is the feral, semi-human, semi-rat creature that lives underneath the streets of New York City. This art is so. Sorry. There we go. This is how you share a screen. So he's having this conversation with himself between the cabbie and between like Mark Spector, the primary, and the like the businessman. Is he an attorney? But look at these panels. Just this fucking wow. This is great story told. I mean, these panels are so moving, but this is one page, and just it's basically his face and the monster behind it, but then all the the two parts of his psyche there, the three parts, including Mark. You know what I mean? And he's in this fight against all of these vermin, and it's just it's a great scene. I really, really dug the hell out of that. Hey, how's it going, Adam Frey? Good to see you. It's been a week. Yes, it has. The art was great in Moon Knight. Really good. Exactly. Thank you, Gray. He's a Japanese AI. Talking politics with Gray. How are the Tories doing, Gray? Are the Tories making a what are Labour? Is like just that is Labour. What about Japanese politics? You got conservatives in power over there, or do you have a liberal government? I mean, we got James and Gray out there if they're still there. Psylocke number 3 was not the worst of the series. That had Everqueer like on every single page, but Psylocke's costume has always been purple, and her like little butterfly eye energy thing, or her soul spike, or has always been purple, and I'm not saying it was good or that I liked it, but I'll give her respect where respect is due. But still, fuck Alyssa Wong. Group blocked on Twitter because I dared question, hey, what's up with Danny Rand? I've known Danny Rand all my life. What? Oh, now I'm anti-AAPI? Says who? It's just with the tattoos on my body. You have to buy me dinner first. Sabretooth, The Dead Don't Talk number 2 by Frank Thierry. Wicked awesome art. It's a bit like Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York. It's turned to the 19th, 20th century. So it's an older New York City. And it's, it's Victor Creed. It's Sabretooth with this like gaslight kind of steampunky background. You know what I mean? And it really works. I mean, I think the second issue is better than the first issue. I was a little bit on the fence with the first issue. The second one really raised that, and I'm like, okay, this is good. But they had this thing where they're like introducing the gangs of New York, and they're like the Dead Rabbits, the Plug Uglies. These are literally names right out of history, and Gangs of New York by Martin Scorsese. But then it gets into a couple of Marvel gangs, like the Yangtze Street Gang, and but one thing I thought was missing was the Hellfire Club. I would have loved to have seen that. Spider-Boy 15 by Dan Slott, art by Paco Medina. It was all right. It always is. There's been very few issues, and there have been a few of Spider-Boy that are just not that good. But Spider-Boy overall, it's pretty okay. Issue 15 was all right. It's pretty dumb at this point. The story, I think this book tries really, really hard, and it's trying to be fun as well. I'm pretty bored with it, but it's not a bad book. So it's like, we're speaking of Scorsese. Okay, it came up like his movie Taxi Driver, 1976 Taxi Driver. He did this after he did Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore and Mean Streets. So this is Scorsese rising. After this, he'll do New York, New York, and he'll do After Hours and King of Comedy before he gets he'll do Raging Bull in 1980. Let's not forget that before those two films. But between that, he does this really cult classic. People can't be talked out of it. Taxi Driver. And for me, I'll give it 10 out of 10 critically. But for personal tastes, I give it a 2 or a 3. It is not my favorite Scorsese story. It's not taking anything away from its cinematography, its sets, its costumes, its ensemble cast. Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster won an Oscar, Sybil Shepherd, Harvey Keitel. There's just so many people in this movie. The use of popular music, interpolated to accentuate these scenes. Scorsese invented that. You know what I mean? It's a good Scorsese movie. It's just not my favorite. I don't like the story. It's just, I haven't seen it in years. I have a shitload of Scorsese movies on physical media, and I will not get Mean Streets or Taxi Driver. I just don't want them. Couldn't care less. But just in case, same thing with Spider-Boy. I mean, it's not a bad book. I mean, Paco Medina's art's really good. I mean, if it's really Slott, not just Christos Gage. Well, exactly. I mean, because it's like it as a single floppy, it stands on its own. I mean, it does the job. Yeah, I mean, I try to be fair to these things. You're gonna hear me be wicked unfair by the end of this, brother. Because I'll be talking about it. I'm saving Ultimate X-Men number 13 for the end of this, and that's the end. I'm getting there. Trust me. Oh shit, I'll talk about that fucking book. But Storm LiveStream number 1, it's a Marvel Vision one-shot celebration of the goddess Storm, and it's the woman of color, and it's February, and it's Black History Month, and it's I opened Storm LiveStream number 1, and then I closed it a few pages in. I went back and I tried to read it. So many words, so many word bubbles, so much digital assisted art. It was pretty art, but it's just like women talking, and I call it Special Needy because it's a play on special needs, but that's also kind of rude because you're associating it with like people with actual disabilities and shit. But I'm trying to be mean. But don't get me wrong, Storm is my favorite X-Man. She has been since I was a kid. Remember, Storm 180 was when I started buying monthly up until Fall of the Mutants. I bought plenty of issues of Uncanny that preceded this. But this is the story that got me buying monthly. And this is where Storm beats Callisto. I heard some stuff like Storm still feels bad about killing Callisto. Motherfucker, you had a healer there the entire time. You knew that. And you were leader of the X-Men and you're leader of the Morlocks. It's just, yeah. But it's Black History Month, and here's your voices, Floppy. Yay. Star Wars New Legacy number 1. This is Legacy number 1. The Ramon Rosana's art in the first story is really good. It's all the Marvel characters. It's a 10th anniversary of Marvel and the new Disney era of making Star Wars books. So it's been 10 years since Star Wars number 1 by Jason Aaron and John Cassaday, the book that sold 1 million. Asterix. It shipped them. You printed and shipped 1 million of those. Did you actually sell 1 million of those? That is the question. And JK, what up? Good to see you. Welcome and happy Sunday. Pikachu is in party mode, and we're reviewing this week's comics. So Star Wars New Legacy, the Ramon Rosonas art in the first story is good, but it's Sanastaros and Dr. Aphra and that cyborg and then the evil droids and this. It's like they're C-listers, they're D-list Star Wars, but I will say that I think that Marvel was putting its best foot forward because the three writers, it's got three stories in there. It's Charles Sewell, Jason Aaron with the Leonard Kirk art that you've come to expect, and Kieran Gillen. So you have three of Marvel Star Wars's most known writers who you don't see. You don't see Kevin Scott. You don't see Alex Segura. You don't see Mark Guggenheim here. I mean, those are like the three legit, probably those are the big hitters. So I really feel that for Marvel Star Wars, Disney Marvel Star Wars, New Legacy, that's something, I mean, they're going to try to really push. This is the Dr. Aphra book because there's been a Dr. Aphra book. So you need a Dr. Aphra book with all the, with all the Dr. Aphra fans out there. And there are a few. Yeah. Star Wars cosplayers are fun. There's a really interesting eclectic mix. It's kind of Star Wars cosplayers at a con. That's where you're going to see the most cohesive group of expanded universe / Legends people and Disney era. You're going to see a Jaina Solo standing next to a Dr. Aphra. There's there's room in fandom for that. Holy shit, I read all 4 issues of this, and it's a Steve Orlando book, Star Wars Ewoks. It was one of the worst comics I ever read. I mean, they at least could have tried to, maybe it just has something to do with rights and shit, but it could have looked like the Ewoks cartoon in that animated style. Nah, no thanks. I was hoping that Lane Kramer would have given a Patreon to Wes to torture Doc with, but it's what if Galactus turned Spider-Gwen into his herald? And it was one of the worst comics I've read in a long time. Marvel did not have a good week. I mean, Tarnation and Ruin, that was bad. Holy shit, that was bad. And I already said that. Tarnation and Ruin, that was bad. So yeah, Lane, if you're out there still and you're listening, tortured Doc with that one, So it's Phil the Kill says somehow, some way, Star Wars fucked up one of their most popular characters, the Ewoks. They made a cartoon movie and a live action that both flopped. Yeah, but those and they were very kid oriented too, like too young for the growing Star Wars fan, I think. Neon from Clownfish TV had a good one. He says that Star Wars dies with us. The kids don't care. They don't sell toys. And it's just going to die with us. And Disney killed it. Yeah. Sorry, Neon. I agree with you completely. West Coast Avengers #3. I didn't like this book, and I don't like saying bad things about it because I like the writer. Jerry Duggan is legitimately a friend of a friend. Jerry Duggan is the high school roommate of a close friend of mine that I've known for over 20 years. So this is one of those examples of when, like everyone else, on the panel, usually at Comics Aficionados, they're like, "Oh, Duggan's at it again! What another Duggan stinker!" Stuff like this, and this is a Duggan stinker, and and that gives feeds the flames for flaming him, and I don't want to. What to say about this, huh? I don't know. Yeah, what to say? I mean, I'll treat it like Rippaverse. I mean, seriously, unless ISOM #1 blows my fucking mind, I'm not gonna say anything. Well, look, I'm a member. I used to be a member at Max Von Priestley's MVPs, and then it got demonetized for reusing content. It's some kind of weird. He probably got false flagged, but I mean, I don't think he's come back from that yet with his monetization, but he would be sharing this Sunday morning coffee and crafts show with X-Ray Girl, who is the producer of Friday Night Tights, and with Carol Lynn, who is the media manager of Rippaverse for the past 3 years. So these are like, holy ground, Highlander. So there is some overlap. I mean, seriously. I mean, I like Drunk 3PO, and he's using Ripicen to do Achromatic Chronicles Green and the Republished Blue. I didn't get it. I got blue, but I didn't get green. It's not for me. It's a misfit in my collection. And then I come down to real criticisms, such as, art, lettering, pacing. It's not for me. And I want to support him. But, like your boy Zach says, these, don't buy these books to not read. These aren't war bonds in the culture war. And he's right. He's really right about that. I mean, I've got a whole bunch of the crowdfunding ones I haven't gotten to yet. I mean, and they keep accumulating, but that's fine. But I get a lot of comics every week, though. I got to make more time to read more books. Jed McKay's X-Men number 10 with art by Nitho Diaz. We talked about it a lot yesterday on Wes is Thinking Critical. We're talking about, you should go back and watch his shows. They're a good one. We talked about morality and heroes. And it's just, we live in such a time where it's like writers aren't writing for the aspirational hero anymore. Everything's so intersected. All the good guys are acting bad. All the bad guys are getting redeemed and having team ups with the good guys. Like, what are the bad guys anymore? I mean, are they just like these are supposed to be made for general audiences and not placeholders for someone's ideology. I mean, Oh, and JK's got a good one. Yeah, ours was a Star Wars family, 4 generations. But even though my nephew's daughter's is a Leia, she isn't interested in Disney Star Wars. The Zahn books are great. Yeah, I agree. And they are coming out. Look, Disney is coming out with Black Series figures. Star Wars, the Black Series, you're getting George Caboth and Clone Luke. And yeah, that sounds actually pretty hot. And dude, I wanted like the Dark Empire. I think they're doing Dark Empire Luke as well. So that would be cool. The red lightsaber when he's faking being a Sith. I love Dark Empire. Yeah, it could have gone on. It really could have, but feminism, academic postmodernism. I mean, wow, it was safer with George Lucas. Wow. Yeah. I can always go back and read those. I really never got into the EU. I read a bunch of them, but all my friends read the shit out of them, and because I respect the hell out of Legends. I really do, or EU rather. Speaking of, I'm going to be picking up at my local comic book shop Star Wars, the newspaper strips, volume 2. I got volume 1, and I need volume 2, but I can buy it from my local comic book shop. It's $40, but you know what? It completes that volume. It's its own little canon within there is a multiverse of Star Wars canon, and they don't intersect, but there is an original universe, and then there is like the special edition universe. Then come prequels, and then have you ever read the Star Wars by Rinsler? It was a Dark Horse book. It was an adaptation of the most original screenplay of Lucas, and it was just completely different kind of reimagining of it. And how, I don't know, but the newspaper strips, they was just so interesting, and I grew up on those. I really, and Mark McGrath, good to see you. How are you? Your boy Zach throws a lot of rocks for a guy that lives in a glass house and continually says his comics are great, but are they? I wouldn't know. I have yet to have bought a Richard C. Meyer book. Some of them interested me. Like I wanted to get Impossible Stars, which is about, because I thought of this too. What if the speed of light can't be breached locally because our solar system was meant to keep us in? We were unable to leave the solar system. So we tried to, as soon as we got spacefaring, but then we got batted back by like alien racers. Like, no, humans, that was that. I thought I came up with that idea too. So I'm like, oh, I'd love to see that play out. I was so, yeah, and I'm a big fan of Narwhal, of Pierre Berg's art. So I almost picked up their jams, but I never did. But yeah, so X-Men number 10, huh? This is it is the best of the From the Ashes books. Now I did like Sentinels a lot, but that's a 5-issue mini. So, but as an ongoing goes, it's Jed MacKay and Ryan Stegman usually. It's Jed MacKay's X-Men, and it's just very hit or miss too. I mean, because it's just so derivative of Grant Morrison's new X-Men. But it's been 25 years. It's been 24 years, 23 years, yeah, since Morrison's new X-Men. Wow, huh? And I'm a big fan of that. But, but it's like, I said it like this. MacKay just knocked a home run on Moon Knight. But in this one, he gets this infield fly rule, pop up. It's a can of corn. And just like, that's an out. It's very much like a David Mamet black box theater play. Think Glengarry Glen Ross, the movie. Like, it's just men yelling at each other over in a set, like whether it be over a desk or over a bar. And it's just not a lot happened. It was a boring issue. But also what I feel too is like Netho Diaz's art it follows Ryan Stegman's, who has a certain kind of cartooniness to it that usually works. Hey, Al, hello. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. It's got a cartooniness, but I think the story would have been elevated if there was a better artist on it. Someone like a David Mack or an Alex Maleev or a Bill Sienkiewicz. You know what I mean? Something with a lot of lightness and darkness, and some artistic quality to it. But no, it's just like, because it didn't suck. It was boring. And we came into the morality argument again, because it was more of like Scott's talking about brinksmanship, and he's trying to get human people, ONE, to stop against any aggressions. And he has to pull out a big one. It's called Mutually Assured Destruction, MAD. Brinksmanship. These were the driving principles of U.S. foreign policy since the Cold War and the mid 1940s to the 1950s versus the Soviet Union. So this is taking history. It's just putting new names onto history. So it's like, you've got Sentinels. Well, we got a Juggernaut, and if you kill me, Scott Summers, well, who's going to be pissed off? Will it be my wife, host of the Phoenix Force, and she'll come back to Earth, and all holy hellfire, literally, will come down? And so it just leaves you in a kind of a bad kind of light, such as like, so Cyclops basically is like, look, anything happens to me, you're going to have to deal with the Phoenix. And that should scare you into not escalating and into withdrawing back to your behind your own Iron Curtain. Indeed. Han Solo in a frozen block. It is. It's really cool. I always wanted a life-size one, even like a cardboard cutout. But this 1/6 that I got from Sideshow, like a couple of years back, that's perfect. It's perfect. It's the perfect size. Nice scale, 1/6 scale. It's got a nice... It lights up, so it's orange lights. It looks like the Bespin freezing chamber. And it's got another thing that you could put it on its, on its back. So I would love to have it in a Boba Fett. I would love to get a Boba Fett to go with there. All right, gloves are coming off. Here we go. We're going to talk about Ultimate X-Men, and then we're going to find out what's in the bag. That's right. My friend Jim Werner of Weird Science Comics, he loves this book. Lots of people I know love this book. I hate it. It's the book I love to hate, because I love the artist and I love the mind behind it. Yet it's Ultimate X-Men number 11. 11 issues. 0 heroic men. And it's all girl heroes. All the men in this book are portrayed as victims, self-deleters, hosts for the Shadow King, physically abusive. Look at Maystorm's dad. Creepy, and just there are no heroic men in this book whatsoever. And just this is supposed to be done for a general audience. This is supposed to be an X-Men book. And this is just very far from it. But and it's such a misfit too, as Lane Kramer says, yes, it is the Peach Momoko book. I love the art and I love her color choices and I love her panel progressions, but I hate what she's laying down here. Yeah. But this issue was all over the place. But I send to Jim I write down little capsules, and I hear that like him and Wes read them weekly too on their Patreon. I didn't know that till like last week. I think that's funny. That's fun. That's pretty cool. But yeah, this is what I said. What a waste of talent and paper. It is so well drawn and composed. It's the book I love to hate. The inherent misandry is real, and every issue proves me right. I feel so smug and arrogant, but I am right. Give me an X-Men book, damn it. I'm all for taking chances, and this is the direction they chose. And it's such a misfit to the rest of the Ultimate story. And the art is so nice. I love the color palette and the panels and the choices, like the art choices, but Kanan, or as we know her better as Quanon, Psylocke, she's really great in this. And there's a hero on hero introductory fight scene between her and Hisako Armor. And that's as old-fashioned comic book superhero as it gets. Heroes fighting, when they meet. And so there I said something nice about a comic book that I fucking hate. Yeah. And it is X-Men, teenagers with superpowers. Yeah, or it's more like yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, Samuel Trejo, hey. Good to see you. Thank you. It's like a shoujo manga with shots of horror. Yeah. I mean, the horror stuff are good in there. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, but X-Men is there's been plenty of teenagers with powers teams. I mean, New Mutants, sure. I mean, Champions, what was it? The New Warriors, Spidey and His Amazing Friends. They were more like college age stuff. But X-Men, they have trappings. They have literally Professor Xavier as the mentor, teaching the young people not just how to use their powers and how to stay incognito and try to, blend into human society, but the elusive goal of the notion of Xavier's dream. There's nothing about Xavier's dream in this thing. There's nothing to do with Xavier at all. And then there's no heroic men. There aren't any good men. That's just the misandry. It's too much for me. It's just, I can't, it blows my mind. It's like, how the fuck did this get greenlit? This is X-Men. I'm sorry. What's in the bag? We're going to find out what's in the bag right away. Let's see. Something that, do this fit in the bag? No. What's in the bag? No, I wasn't. I was not fighting for Peach. But I wouldn't go to, and I would be scared to go. There's a lot of people in New York City Comic Con. I got some funny books, and I also got some other stuff too. But let's see, what did I get? I went twice this week because Diamond didn't get the rest of the books. Kinda, yeah, you got it. But it's so on the nose with with Ultimate X-Men. It's a distraction, and it's just no, thank you. I mean, it should be ridiculed. It deserves your derision. Really good book this week, Green Lantern 19. This came on time on Wednesday, and it was the only book in my pull list. We've got The Sorrow, and The Sorrow is working for this guy here, Mr. the Red Dude, and he looks like Grima Wormtongue next to Saruman. And we got lots of melodrama, lots of soapy melodrama. Hey, LT, there you are. Yeah, sure. No, thank you. I'd say something like fight, 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 but then like that's totally going to be like misconstrued. You can't use that anymore. That's toxic. Now that's like, but hey, fight is an essential part of the human experience. It's an intrinsic part of superhero comics. Fight. But yeah, this is a really good book. So there was only one book to get on Wednesday. So I went looking around the shelves. Is my local comic book shop. I wanted to spend a few bucks at my local comic book shop. So I not only did I look at the trade paperback shelves, I thumbed through the used books. You can always get used trade paperbacks at your local comic book shop. You know what I mean? Just sometimes they have bundle deals. You get like, 3 for $15, 4 for $20. And you like, sometimes you're like, oh, wow. No, well, I like her art, but I just don't, if I was in charge, if I was, the editor, obviously didn't say like, where are the boys in this? What, we have boy, this just can't, this isn't it. Sorry. But yeah, I got one brand new trade paperback and one used paperback. So for $5 from 40 years ago, I had this book then. And it was back when I had a political acumen, when it was just developing. And this is Bloom County by Berkeley Breathed. And this is Bill the Cat. This is political satire. These are collectors. This is a collection of newspaper strips, and it's Sunday. See you later, Alligator Lane Kramer. See you at Yule's on Tuesday night, man. See you at Shecky's. Ooh, the Untold. Dang, nice. But yeah, so this is political humor. And I read the hell out of this as a kid. I really did. And it was for $5. So I said, you know what? You got a place with me. And this for me, look, it looks so much better than anything digital. I mean, look at the art. That's just pencils and inks and just, that's it. And, you know, it's simple. Check this out. You know, I like floppies better than trade paperbacks, but I saw this and I couldn't help myself because I never finished it. I never bought it in floppy, but every time I came across my pirate chest, I was just get so into this. It looks like Richard Scarry. Have you ever heard of Richard Scarry? Richard Scarry made those anthropomorphic animals, you know, in bib overalls and driving trucks and everything in a very pastoral, idyllic kind of setting. And, you know, and just if all this, like, it's like, but something sinister lurks in this small little town. There's a serial killer. So this is like one part Dexter meets one part Richard Scarry's Animals. This was one of my favorite books from last year. So I'm so happy to get, and also because I'm not going to lend out my floppies. Fuck no. I'll be happy to lend this out to the right people. And it was like, when was the last time I gave you a comic book to read? You know, so I'm looking forward to that. Just like to finish it, to reading this, you know, in total, and you know, and lending it out, the satisfaction. And if I don't get it back, I don't get it back. It's happened before, but you know, I love Bloom County. Yeah, Bloom County is better than better than Doomsbury. I like Doomsbury too, to an extent. But yeah, I was definitely a Bloom County guy. Opus, Bill the Cat, Steve Dallas. Indeed. What else did I get this week? Well, and then on Friday, it was on my way home. I had to go to the bank. I saw I had 15 minutes until the bus came. So I was like, hey, let's go to the comic book shop. Let's see if your books came in. I got Hellhunters #2, as we saw. But see, it's about, this happens in the book. He's got 2 knives. That's it. But he's not using his claws. He didn't pop the claws yet. That's going to be a reveal, ain't it? Nightclub #5. I think of 6. Nightclub 2. Really good issue. I love Calvin and Hobbes. That's great. Yeah, and everyone's putting out their Far Side Calvin and Hobbes guy. Mm-hmm. Stay Fuzzy. Wild's End. You know what I like a lot is oh gosh, Garfield. I was a huge Garfield fan. Yes, I was a huge Garfield fan. I always got the Garfield books, you know, like when I was a kid. Seriously, I got this on the shelf. It was a new release, $6.99 from First Comics. It's Mike Barron. I've been on 2 Wes's Thinking Criticals Comics Aficionados with Mike. He's 75 years old, and he's still prolific. He's still plying his trade, and he's still making good stories. I really like the art in here. I mean, it's got some digitalitis to it, yeah, but the panels are pretty good. The story is pretty funny. We've got sex. We've got hijinks, antics. We've got monkeys throwing poo. We've got Badger. And this is, yeah, and I was so happy to support a Mike Barron book. Caught in the I was like, the lady at the counter there, she was like, wow, $6.99. I'm like, well, yeah, but there's no ads. And when was the last time we saw the Badger out here in the wild? And then I caught myself going, one of me and my little puns that I wasn't planning on. But yeah, Badger used to be a staple of the shelves 40 years ago when I was a kid. I've never bought, I can't remember if I ever bought an issue of Badger, but it's okay. It's fun, and the art was decent, and I just love seeing Mike Barron on the shelves. Is that an angry Badger? Oh, I don't know. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. It's time to get supper ready. I'm starving. It's time for my supper, my Sunday dinner. I'm having steak tonight. You have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We've been talking about Neil Gaiman canceled, and he had it coming. And a lot of people are just really relishing this comeuppance and this turning of the tables. Is this karma? Did he deserve it? Yeah. Huh? Oh, and how? All righty. Well, you have a great week. Tune in tomorrow, bright and early. We got the Live and Learn, the Gratitude Show. We also got Wes on Saturday, 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern, Thinking Critical. We'll find out what the topic is, usually the day before. And then next week, we'll be reviewing comics all over again. Thank you so much. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye. Woohoo!